Welcome to another elk-shaped edition of Q&A. I'm Dan Staten, and I am not an expert, but I am an experienced elk hunter, and I've made lots of mistakes. So this is designed to kind of share my insight on elk hunting, public land elk with a bow. That's kind of my jam, what I look forward to, what I live for. And I'm going to tackle your guys' questions. If you have some questions that you want featured on here, or maybe you don't, send me an email, elkshape@gmail.com. If I use your question on one of these videos, I'll send you a hat or an elk-shaped shirt or a decal, something, make it worth your while. Today, brought to you by Easton Archery. I have killed so many elk with a full metal jacket. It's my favorite. This is the 5mm. This is the traditional size. This is a 340 spine, tipped with a shuttle T from Trophy Taker. Laser vanes. I'm going to be doing a video coming up in the near future. I'm going to build about 36 arrows for 2017, and I'm going to do a few things different than I normally do, and I'm going to make an entire video on that setup, so look forward to that. I'm just waiting for a few things to arrive that I ordered off Lancaster Archery, plus Easton sending me a handful more of these FMJs. So is Boning. They're sending me some wraps and some blazers, so I'll do a whole arrow build for those that are interested. If you don't build your own arrows, you might consider it, because there's a lot to, I'll make 36 arrows, but I'll have about 12 that are like my favorite arrows. They fly the best, they're at the same weight, and I'll geek out on that video. So, without further ado, by the way, on Easton Arrows, yes, I did shoot another brand, I'm not going to say their name, last year. People changed at Easton, and I lost my contact information, didn't really have the best communication with them. So for a year I shot another brand, and there's a reason why I pounded down their door to get back with Easton. I love full metal jackets for elk. The end. Okay. This one is from David Kinsman. David here from Southwest Washington. I'm new to elk hunting, just finished up my second season. My buddies and I learned quickly that in public lands of Western Washington, the deeper ones goes the better. To find less timid bulls and hopefully better success next year, we plan to backpack in a few miles to get a jump start on the day hunters. My question to you is this: what are your preferred backpacking foods? You've inspired me to give my diet and fitness more consideration in regards to my elk hunting ability. With that being said, popular dehydrated meals such as Mountain House doesn't really give me the warm fuzzies after reading the label, unless you say otherwise. What are your suggestions for alternatives? Also, I plan on setting up a new bow this winter. Do you prefer a sliding sight or a fixed sight? If you prefer a sliding sight, do you use single pin or multi? Sorry for the bombardment of questions. Thanks for making the information to help me get into elk shape so accessible. I truly appreciate it, David Kinsman. All right, David. Backpacking foods. It's almost impossible to eat perfectly healthy in the backcountry. Whole foods, things that can go bad, will go bad. But you can be intelligent on your nutrition and your fuel source for when you're hunting. I do measure my food for backcountry hunts by the ounce, and I do try to have that 200 calorie per ounce rule. And I do generally do Mountain Houses. Unfortunately, they're loaded in nitrates, and they're not that great for you. I do think it's a good idea to consider dehydrating your own food. You could literally make up your meats, your stews, and freeze dry, or dehydrate your rice, your clean brown rice, your quinoa, cut up yams, all that stuff. So the more preparation you make into your fuel, I do think the better you'll hunt as far as recovery goes in between hunts. When you lay your head on the pillow, most elk hunters know you fall right asleep, unless the elk are bugling outside your tent, which is an awesome problem to have. But I don't spend a lot of time on breakfast. Breakfast is like the most important meal of the day / the most important time to get your butt in gear. Never ever be late in the elk woods. So breakfast for me is extremely fast. It's usually 2 packets of instant oatmeal, not my favorite, with a scoop of Mountain Ops Magnum Vanilla, and then a handful of almonds, probably 14 to 18 almonds. That's breakfast. I do eat in the morning a protein bar, either a Pro Bar or a pure protein bar. And then for lunch is gonna be more like dehydrated fruit, jerky, and or homemade trail mix versus trail mix purchased from the store. And then in that homemade trail mix, I don't add in a lot of the M&Ms or the chocolate chips, but I do load it in all nuts and seeds and basically dehydrated fruit. I have a dehydrator. It takes about 8 hours, and I can get a huge batch for a hunt setup. And then for the afternoon, I do another Pro Bar or a pure protein bar, and I do mix in Enduro or Yeti or both in all my waters throughout the day. And then at night, I usually have a Mountain House. Maybe this year I'll step up my game and do my own dehydrated meals. I'm pretty interested in doing that. We'll see how it goes, but I usually just buy the big bucket of Mountain House or Backcountry Pantry or whatever, and it's been what works for me. If I'm doing a backcountry hunt, I definitely weigh and measure my food. I think that's really important to have it all calculated out. The lighter the pack, the better. Ounces lead to pounds, and pounds lead to pain, and that just goes without saying. Your next question was, as far as archery sights go, do you like a fixed sight? Are you preferring a sliding sight, single pin, multi? So hey, last year I went with Trophy Taker. Well, actually it's now Option Archery, Dan Evans' company. He makes an awesome sight. I'm gonna grab it right now while I got you guys here. This is a fixed 4-pin, and then I just flip that out, and I have a single pin slider, so I have the best of both worlds. I can slide, that's 50 yards, all the way down to 100 yards single pin. And then I can flip this in, and I have, on this setup it's 25, 40, 50, and that bottom pin can be anything from up to 20. You can make that bottom pin be up to 20, all the way down to 100. So this single pin / fixed pin sight by Option Archery, it's got third access, fairly good dovetail, but you can do your first, second, third access through the bubble. Awesome sight. While we're on Option Archery, Quivalizer, check them out. I know Dan Evans sold Trophy Taker, so he's focused just on Option Archery. And the sight's pretty expensive, but it is bulletproof, and to me it's an investment of a lifetime. So check that sight out. That's what I've been using. That's what I like to use. That should cover your setup, David, for the most part. But thanks for the questions, and good luck in the backcountry this year. I think it's a great idea to beat the crowds. I think you'll have an advantage, and I think you'll save energy, which is the most important commodity in the backcountry, by going in deeper and staying in deeper. So, all right, this next one's from Joshua Scott. I've been bow hunting in Eastern Washington for 4 years now. I shake my head because I know how crappy the hunting is. I've shot a whitetail every year and a 2-year last year, thanks to his mom's handicap tag. So he got 2 deer. But I'm gearing up for an elk hunt. I have a million questions, but I'll keep it simple with 2. I would like to know what sight you use on your bow. We just covered that. Second question is, what stabilizer length do I use? So for me, I told you I use the Quivalizer. I'll pull this back out, and I'm gonna set it up. So I don't have a stabilizer. This quiver is my stabilizer, hence the name Quivalizer. Slide that in. There's my stabilizer / Quivalizer. I feel like I'm shooting a target bow when I'm hunting, and I think you all can agree, the closer you can get your setup to a target setup, the more accurate you'll be. So check out Option Archery. I think it's worth your investment, and if you didn't go that route, there's several other brands that you can look into. I'm really digging the Option site though. All right, next question's from Chandler Van Landingham. Hey Dan, I've emailed you before and you've answered questions for me on spring bear hunting, but I've got a few more figured and you might use them in your video. So I think we're switching gears to bear hunting, which I love. This next season will be my first time hunting spring bears. We will be going over the counter in North Idaho, backpacking in. These aren't necessarily about bear hunting techniques, but more of logistics. Number 1, what technique do you normally use when breaking down a bear you've harvested when you're pretty deep in the backcountry? Well, obviously you're not going to throw it on your four-wheeler and haul it out, which is my first choice. You will skin the bear out, and as you skin it, you can use like tarp or something to put the skinned out bear on and then butcher the meat that way. That's what I would do. Watch some videos on how to skin a bear. I always start here, make a line to the chest, follow that same horizontal line, zip down, go inside leg, and really take your time around the paws and pads. That should come right off. Break at the joint. You don't need a blade or a saw for anything on a bear. And then, you know, you break down your bear on the tarp would be ideal. Debone it if you're in the backcountry for sure. Get that meat hanging. In the spring, it gets pretty cold at night, so you'll be in a good spot. Let's see, Chandler's second question, what do you do to keep the meat in good shape? I've heard bear meat is more problematic than other meats. I wouldn't say it's more problematic. Follow your basic guidelines when it comes to meat care in the backcountry. Bring a tarp in that's lightweight to keep your meat clean. Get it off the bone. Get it in a clean synthetic game bag. Get it hanging in the air where cold air can come underneath. Creeks are ideal, right above moving water where the air is going, but don't have your meat just on the ground. Always have airflow and let it hang as short as possible until you can get it to a cooler, in which I would let a bear meat hang for probably, if you can get it to 40 degrees in a cooler for 5, 6, 7 days, you'd be balling. So look into that. Number 3, same goes for the hide. How do you normally take care of the hide? Do you cape the skull? Does it need to be salted? Okay, this is stuff that I'm not an expert on, although I've killed double-digit bears. I've killed a lot of bears in the last 7 or 8 years, because you can kill 2 in Idaho in the spring. And I usually get a Washington bear tag as well for the fall. I would say I don't take the skull out. I take that cut all the way up to the neck, and then I basically skin it all, like just take it all the way off with the hide completely attached. I think the proper term would be like tubing it out. I would tube out the neck and leave the skull attached. Let the taxidermist mess with that unless you're gonna do it yourself. Then I don't know how. I've never taken a bear skull out. I usually don't keep bear hides anymore. I actually sell them to taxidermists, fur traders, and if they want the skull, it's additional. So if they don't want the skull, they'll give it back to me. And then I do not salt the hides. I just keep them cold. And I usually try to get back to a freezer within a day and put it in a freezer. So in Idaho, you need to check your bear, and once you kill it, I think you have up to 10 days. You need to pull out the milk tooth, and that's the second tooth in from the canine, I believe. I don't have a skull in front of me, but it's real easy to see which tooth to pull out, and get that tooth checked in at a local station or fishing game headquarters, or the local branch near you, or a dealer. There's several places where you can check a bear in, get that tooth to them. You get a receipt for that. You need to do that, and you should be good. Let's do the last one here. It's from Daniel Gomez. Alright, he says, what's up, brother? First off, you're a badass. From hunting to fitness to family life, I admire all that. Keep it up. Now down to business. I have been hunting in Colburn, Colorado. I won't say the unit. For the past 4 years, and always end up falling short on my OTC archery tag. Our hunt starts right after the muzzleloader season ends, and it seems that all the elk are on private property by the time we get there. This past September, I easily saw 200 head of elk 50 yards off the main road. It was frustrating due to the fact that we hiked 4 miles into the backcountry in search of elk and didn't see squat, nor did we ever hear a bugle. So I guess I have a few questions. Crap, we better hustle. Are we shooting ourselves in the foot by hunting the 3rd week? It seems like the muzzleloader hunters push everything down by then. Yes you are. If you're not gonna hunt with the muzzleloader, get in there before those guys. Now, the bugling might not be as hot, but trust me, bulls are rounding up cows. I don't know the exact dates in September, but I'm pretty certain it might be last weekend of August. And then I think muzzleloader guys can come in on the 15th of September-ish, somewhere in there. I don't know for sure, but hell yes, get in there before the muzzleloader guys. Obviously, they're pushing them, and once they're on private, they're not going to leave private. It's safe there for the most part. His second question, if the 3rd week is good, I assume they cross onto private property at night. Any tips? Should we give up on unit blank or try elsewhere? I don't think you should give up on the unit. In fact, I've said this before in videos. You've gone 4 years in a row. You're starting to learn this unit. Now you need to get there before muzzies get in there. You know the land. You know the topography, the features. You know I have an idea what the elk are going to do before most of these guys push them in. I think you should hunt there. You've learned it. You know where to access it. Logistics are out of the way. Now you just need to get some cameras in there, get some boots on ground, get some vantage points, do some glassing, and figure out where those elk are at before the season. Last question. He asks, what's the best way to hunt them at this time of year? Spot and stock isn't really working due to the fact that we can't spot one to save our lives. Laugh out loud. Alright, well Daniel, I think you can find elk. The cameras, like I mentioned before, are going to work well. You find little, basically saddles, funnels, watering holes, wallows, transition areas from feed to cover. Invest in some trail cameras if you can't put feet on the ground. If it's a place that you can't glass, it's covered in timber. I imagine in Colorado, you have timberline. I think those elk are going to be messing right at timberline before they get pressured. I think they're going to be heading up, feeding, and then they're going to come back down on that timberline. That's what I would guess. So I don't know that unit you mentioned, but I'm not going to say it on this out loud. Stick with it, Dan. Remember, I killed my first elk when I was 21 with a rifle, bought a bow, hunted Idaho 1, 2, 3, 4 years until I actually shot a bull. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. So there's a learning curve. It is steep, but you are climbing your way through that, brother. Stick with it. Guys, thanks for sending these questions. Thanks for taking the time to watch this stuff. I hope it makes you a better hunter or gets you thinking about some different ideas. And we'll do more videos like this, and keep training hard, and we'll catch you on the next one.